Okay. Let's see if we're working. We look like we're working to me. So what the hell are we going to do today? Well, today we are going to work on some bases. Because I want to get all my spires guys together. Because I got them all painted up now, but they all just need their bases. And yeah, also I might have some Nords coming that I might have bought. So you know, it's good to finish up things before we start new things. So, what's the goal? Well, we're gonna go through pretty much every step today of my bases. So this is what their bases are going to look like. We're going to go through putting all the stuff on the bases to painting them up, and then we're doing washes and stuff. I'm actually super happy with how this turned out. I think that's pretty darn fun. They used to be, excuse me for a second, all my spires are ones that are painted and stuff are currently on the same base but in purple. I don't really like the purple anymore. It's very conflicting. I feel like it draws away from the model. I feel like it makes the models look darker than they are, and since they're already black anyway, I feel like it really kind of screws them up. I don't like it. So I wanted to swap them to this gray color based on actually some of the designs from a video game called The Last Descendant. There's like this kind of like ooey gooey, like tubey kind of goopy stuff that's in some of the buildings, and that's kind of where I got the color from, and I think it actually works way better in the models than the purple does. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So we're going to be doing pretty much every step for that. So first off, I'm going to grab a couple of the models and we're going to paint their bases like base coat, and then what we'll do is we'll start working on getting the other models' bases ready. So give me 1 minute while I grab some dudes that we're going to base coat. You know what? Screw it. We're going to base coat everything in the box. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Well, maybe not everything. But we'll base coat some of them at least. So, alright, so. It's one of the cool Centaur avatars I've shown off before. Oop. So, they're doing a lot of like Centaur monsters recently, man. Whoever is the designer at Parabellum must really like Centaurs. So these are the Centaur Kirkis for the Old Dominion, and these are the Centaur Avatara for the for the spires. And then they also have the Leonine Avatara, which are, well, technically they're Chaw Cats, but essentially they're also Centaurs. So yeah, whoever works at Parabellum must really like Centaurs, which is cool because I do too, so I'm not going to complain. Alright, so let's paste coat some of these fuckers up. Let's see, we'll do you, and then maybe we'll do the melee guys too at the same time. Okay. So to get that base, the color we're going to use is called Company Gray. No, it's not. That's not the right one. The color we're going to use is called Ash Gray. I literally just bought this yesterday, so apologize for that. I actually ran out to the hobby store specifically to buy paints for this, to try different kinds. Because the ones I had were all like slightly off how it looks in game, and I'm not really trying to like copy what's in game, but I really like how it looked, So what I did was I was like, I'm gonna buy a couple things and try them all out. So if you're curious, this is one of the other ones. It's a darker purple. I just feel like all the details are lost. And this one is a cultist cloak, which is actually a really freaking cool color, but it's not the kind of tone I wanted. So all right. So we're just going to go through and we're just going to base coat the bases. Right? Got to base coat the bases. That's all we're going to go. Alright. So I am just not feeling that purple anymore. I feel like it's just too bright. I feel like it takes away from the models. I feel like it doesn't fit the theme of them right. Because these guys are like body horror constructs, like fucking H.R. Geiger alien things, right? I feel like the purple bases just kind of didn't fit with that, so like conceptually. I will also say that in different points of my life, I really like doing bases or can't stand doing bases. It's one of those things that I just kind of go back and forth on. Some days I'll be like, man, I want to 3D print a custom ton of stuff and put it on the bases. I'm going to do real bits of rock and grass and like all this stuff. And then sometimes I'm just like, he's standing in mud, you know? So like as a thing, it, you know, it changes. My interest in basing changes quite drastically. So when I have models that have really complicated bases, it's really hard to add models to that army when I'm not in the mood for doing the bases. So, really good example of this is my, what are they called? The not Night Haunt, the Flesh Eater Courts. I have a Flesh Eater Courts army, and they have very complicated bases. So I've actually, as I've continuously added models to them, I've been like slowly like making their bases less complicated in an effort to like just try to make them easier to palette when I'm not in the mood for doing bases. So yeah, so like their bases have like this range of like really complicated to way less complicated in the same army, but when they all stand together, it looks really good together still. So yeah, it's kind of cool. Because, you know, like one of the joys of this hobby is that the fact that it is so many small hobbies inside each other, right? You have like really fancy painting, and then you have less fancy painting, and you have, you know, all this kind of stuff. And you have like, you know, I'm going to paint in this method, or I'm going to, you know, do a bunch of terrain, or I'm going to do like just tons of army painting, or painting individual like specific character minis, right? Like you have this really big range, and it's really neat. Especially if your brain is kind of always searching for new things like mine is. So like, you know, it's very easy to be like, oh, I heard about this new game. I 3D printed an entire army for it, and I painted them, and I'm ready to play one game and stop. You know? And that's not like, I'm not saying that is like a bad thing, right? Like, really there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like you should do what you enjoy. So if you stop enjoying something, even if it's just like a loss of interest from a like, I found something new that's more stimulating kind of thing, no reason to switch, no reason to not switch, right? Like, you should just have fun with it, right? This is a hobby after all. It's not like, you know, your job or your life or your partner or something like that, right? Like if you're tired of working on part of it, fuck it, do something else. You know, like these purple bases used to be like the thing I really loved about these models, but I mean, just over time I kind of fell in love with it. And I really want the bases more to like reflect the mood, more so than just trying to add a splash of color to these dark minis. Because originally I was like, oh man, I really want this like crazy bright contrasting color to be opposite of like the really black dark minis, but conceptually I just don't think it works. Alright, like go. Also, I want to throw out this guy who I've been working on. Da-da-da-da, my Flame Tiger. I've been working on him. He's got a long way to go still, though. Long way to go. But working on him. I have a really bad habit of working on those models. The really cool big centerpiece models that I'm really, really excited for. Getting them like 75% of the way and then stopping. I have a super bad habit of that because I either don't want to like quote unquote finish painting them because then I can't paint them anymore. So I stop, which means I stop painting them anyway and I still don't have the finished product. Or I get to the point where like I'm afraid I've messed it up or I'm going to mess it up and I stop for that reason. I'm like, oh, I'll come back to it when, you know, at a later time, right? But I've thought about it more when I figured it out more, right? Like, I have that really, really bad habit of that. So, it's a really cool mini, and this would be the kind of mini specifically that I would do that with. So, I'm very much trying to make sure that doesn't happen, because I really want this model. Like, he is definitely one of the models that brought me back to Conquest, just because it's so cool, like Big Fire Cat. So, you know, I wanted to make sure that I actually finish him and, you know, produce the end result that really that model deserves, because it's a beautiful model. It's like just absolutely stunning model. Really, that whole army of the Sorcerer Kings, just so cool. Both in like concept for design and in actuality, right? Like having this like East Asian, like Thailand, Myanmar meets India meets the Middle East aesthetic, really cool and very unique for a war game. Like that's not an aesthetic you usually see, right? Like a lot of the aesthetics are just like white guys in armor, so it's really cool. I shouldn't be shocked given that it's coming from Conquest. I mean, the armies I'm painting here are literally a sci-fi army in a fantasy game, right? These are all like grown soldiers, right? Like weird kind of like bug alien people. You know, so it really shouldn't surprise me that, you know, they have kind of weirder designs like that, like or weird's the wrong term, more abnormal designs. And I mean abnormal not as in like the designs themselves, but abnormal as in like you don't see it very often. So yeah, so big props to my husband. Yesterday I actually drug him out to the Thai food place so I could go and look at the colors on all their decor. So big props to him for that. And tolerating, you know, me being me. So I drug him out to the Thai place to get Thai food, and the hobby shop, which is like right around the corner, so I could get these paints. Yeah, props to him for that, for going on that adventure with me. Yeah, it's interesting when I stopped playing Conquest the first time, you know, because my friend stopped. I still have a couple models floating around. I really got to find them. They're one of those things that in the move I don't know 100% where they went. I think one of the things I have is actually more archers for the spires. I think that's one of the big things I've got. I've got those, and I think I have some of the wolves for the Nords. The box I have coming is like a 5th anniversary starter box or something like that. So it already has some of those models in it anyway. So I'll probably try to still find them and paint them up, because obviously painting more wolves is always more fun. But I do have a fresh set coming, which will be pretty fun. Because I think in the first one of those, I think I used a bunch of oil paints and stuff, which is not very conducive for painting over, to be honest. Although maybe the model's top coated, I don't remember. I'll have to say. Alright, there we go. So yeah, I'm just keeping going with the base coats while I use up what's left on the palette. Oh my god, I'm covered in dog hair. Yeah, I figured I would just use up what's left, you know, no point in, since I have to do all these guys anyway. And then we'll move on to doing probably the more interesting part of it while these guys dry. That was my plan, you know. So we're going to do the next part of it, and then we're going to come back and do all the bases, and then we're going to do probably the last like demo part of this. And that will probably be our time today together. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. Alright, so out of the gray paint now. So we're not going to pull more out right now. We'll do that later. But what we're going to do is we're going to work on some of the styling on the bases, some of the weird shit that goes onto them. So we'll look at the Highborn Avataro, because she has a really big base. So you're going to notice a couple different shapes in this, right? You're going to notice these kind of like repeating square shapes, and then these kind of like tentacle, kind of like gut tube shapes, and then a whole bunch of this like weird kind of texture. Now this is made out of 3 different pieces. The first of these is this. So this is a piece of tube. It is a wire cover. It's not actual tube for like putting liquid or anything through. It's a cover you're supposed to wrap over top of wires. I have no idea why I have a roll of this or where I got it. To be honest, it looks like something that would be in a PC or in a car. So maybe it came from one of those. But honestly, I have like no idea where this came from. I have legitimately like a 3-foot roll of it, and I have no idea why. But it's awesome. It's really nice. It's split on one side there, and it makes a really cool kind of little textury piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count out some rings. So 1, 2, 3, right? This one's going to be 3, and I'm just going to slice it in half. And it just cuts right with a razor blade, just like that. And then we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to cut that out, just like that. All right, now we have our little pieces here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically just start cutting these apart. So stretch it out a little bit. There we go. And we're just going to start taking snippets out of it, just like that. And try to make sure that's on camera. Not that you really need to see me cut a piece of plastic wire cover, but in case you wanted to. All right, now I'm going to try to do some bigger pieces. I'm going to try to do some smaller pieces, really. And since these are all the same length, the width is going to be important, right? Because they essentially have to fit onto a base. So you're going to want different widths of them. All right, so some of those are thicker, some of those are thinner, right? I'm going to do the same thing here. Retrospect, it might actually be way easier to cut this with a pair of scissors. But we're on this route now. And I haven't worked on these models or this style base in like a year and a half, so I'm doing this kind of like off memory. The funny thing is, I think I actually recorded this before, so there's probably a record of this up on YouTube on how I did it the first time, but I'm pretty sure I'm like 99% close. There we go. Alright, just want different widths. Different widths. Some big ones, some small ones. There we go. Whole bunch of them there. Just pretty darn cool. Alright, sweet. Now, step 2. Grab some bottles. Da-na-na-na. Alright, so we're going to switch these guys out. And we're going to get them all based up. Okay, so this is going to be the Warband box. And the Avatara. That's kind of like what I'm going to work on. That's the new models that I've got. So we're going to knock those out. Okay, where is our glue? We need glue. Here we go. Lots of super glue. You could do this with PVA, but it would take longer to dry. So I'm not doing that. And my goal is to just go ahead and put a piece on everybody's base. Nope. Just kind of wherever the wheel strikes me. Right? As long as I got a little bit of glue, they'll stick. Just like that. And I'm just going to go through and put one on everybody's base. And we're going to move all these paints that need to go in my paint rack, but I've been honestly painting at like 1 and 2 a.m. because I've been just playing so much of The Last Descendant that I have not been doing a ton of hobby, to be honest. It's because I've been really sucked into that game and enjoying it. Which is not a bad thing, right? Because the hobby is still here for you whenever you get back. That's the joy of it. The stuff isn't going away. You know? There we go. This guy's got a cool banner. So fancy. Now, I could do multiple bits of this as well on here, but we're going to have lots of other textures too, so I'm not going to super worry about it. If I end up having extra bits, we'll probably end up doing multiples, but as of right now, I think it's fine. Okay, I'm going to grab this guy. He's going to go right here. Right. And that's that guy. And then we got this guy. So yeah, this doesn't really seem that bad. When I was working on these guys the first time, I was really thinking about like Last Argument of Kings, like the really big game, and I was like, oh my god, I'm going to need like 1 trillion troops and stuff, and you know, it was a little overwhelming. But honestly, doing a little warband like this with a little bit kind of fancier bases, I think is actually pretty cool. And they're going to look really cool in the end, so. There we go. Just like that. And that's 2 units of those ready to rock. Then we got this guy and that guy. And we got these guys. And we got this guy. We got this guy. This guy. He's going to get a little bit of paint on his base, but that's about it. Because he is covering like 90% of his base. These, I tell you, man, these are cool freaking models. These Desolation drones, they're really cool. I don't know if you're supposed to build them like so I built half of them as the catabolic nodes, just because I thought it would look really cool, like to have them walking in the back and have like the first row be the flamethrower guys. I don't know if you're supposed to do that, but I thought it looked really cool. And these are really fun models. You could easily have like a whole box of these and have every single one of them be different, just because of like how they go together, because they assemble like with so much customization and stuff. Yeah, they're really cool. So yeah, just gluing away. Alright, and we're going to get this piece down on everybody's stuff, and then we're going to work on the next step after that. So, nice and easy, you know, kind of going in steps. This kind of army stuff, right? And really, we don't have a million guys in a unit, right? So a standard unit for First Blood is 4 guys. So when you paint up units, you really only need to paint them up, like, in theory, in blocks of 4. Sorry, just feeling a little cramped, so I want to make myself some more room. So you kind of like do them in blocks of 4. And when you play the game, they go out and like kind of stay in little teams of 4. And it just works really well, like from a gaming standpoint. All right, we got to get some more wire. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And we might need some more besides that. So 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So let's see, we've got 3 big models to do still, so and then any extras, I want to give more of this too. So I'll probably end up giving a little bit more out to some of these models, because really it looks pretty dope. I think it looks neat. It looks gross. It looks cool. Yeah, the spires, they actually have a like a Leonine leader unit. He's really cool. And this is gonna sound terrible, but friggin' Conquest keeps sending me goddamn they keep sending me fucking coupons. I don't know why they keep sending me coupons. Well, I do know why, because they want me to buy more shit. But man, it fucking works. Like, they keep sending me fucking 15% off coupons. And I have no idea why, but I keep getting these, like, emails from a guy with a Greek name. It's like Diontro or something like that. That's not a Greek name, Diontro. That's not even a real name. That's just me trying to remember the letters of his names. His first name is like D.I. something. I keep getting emails from him where he keeps giving me fucking coupons. And I know obviously that works and it's probably a form email, but fuck, just like if you give me like 15% off and free shipping, it's really hard not to like go to the real store. And what I mean by that is like when you shop for like Warhammer, right? You should never buy it from Games Workshop, because you're always going to either A, give money to a small company if you buy it somewhere else, right? And it's going to be the same exact price, or B, you're going to get a discount on it. Now you get the same kind of discount for this stuff, for the Conquest stuff, but I almost always have to pay goddamn shipping. And living in Hawaii, the shipping is killer from Greece. Like, absolutely killer. So, it would be, but because they give you free shipping and 15% off, it's really hard not to be like, oh, well, I'll just go buy it from their main web store, right? Instead of like going to go dig around on Miniature Market and on eBay and all that kind of stuff, right? So it's way easier to just go directly to the source, and it's really nice. Now I think you have to spend $100 for free shipping, but honestly, the shipping out here, it has to be insane. So I am surprised they have not blocked that. And they're not like, oh, continental US only, right? But they haven't, so I will keep shopping from their main store until they do. Now, there is a store out here in Hawaii that can import, not import, it can like get them from the distributor, the Conquest stuff. The store is called Armchair Adventurer. It's in Nimitz Shopping Center. Really cool store. The guy that runs it, Keith, really cool guy. 10 out of 10 would highly recommend that store. However, you can also get a % off at that store for stuff, but you have to pay like before it gets ordered, essentially, right? Like you have to prepay for it. And I think it's like 10% off, I think they'll give you. So if you can't get any other kind of deal, it's a really good deal. Now, if you don't have a % off coupon sitting in your email, what I recommend you do is I recommend you go over to a YouTube channel called Love and War Games. The guy seems like a cool guy, French dude. He seems pretty cool. I've never talked to him. I don't know him. So if he winds up being like a fucking creep or something, it's not my fault. But go over to his channel. He has a % off coupon that the Parabellum gave him. So it's the code LOVE10, and if you use it, you'll get 10% off your order, which is pretty darn cool. Because that one actually works on anything on the website, whereas the 15% one I got emailed, and probably other people got emailed and stuff, doesn't work on starter boxes, which is like a real shame. So that's probably because they already the starter boxes are so marked down anyway. But I'm a sucker for starter boxes, so I if I'm going to buy units, I'm always going to go and look at what the starter boxes are. And maybe I might pay a little bit more, but I'm going to get a lot more. You know what I mean? So, all right, let's see. Got 2 more pieces, and then we move on to the next step. Keith is awesome. Yes, I agree. I love Keith. Keith is very cool. I feel a little bad. Haven't been buying a ton of stuff at Armchair. It used to be like my main store I used to shop at, but I really just have not been playing Warhammer at all. I bought all my Flames of War stuff from them though, so don't feel too bad. But yeah, I just haven't been playing Warhammer at all. Alright, so that glue is going to dry, and while it does, we're going to do some green stuff. Good green stuff. And I'm going to go fill this glass up with water. I'll be right back. And I'm back. Alright. I had to get some water, because you probably don't want to watch me spit all over the thing I'm about to do. With my adorable little bear cup. Here's my adorable little bear cup. It's my water cup. So, this is green stuff. This is not official green stuff. This is discount green stuff from like fucking China or something that I got online on Amazon for like 1/10 of the cost of real green stuff. And you know what? it works just as damn well. Right? It's probably like a knockoff stolen product, but you know what? I'm going to be super honest, Green Stuff World's a bunch of dickheads. So they've done a lot of bad stuff where they've like stolen designs and like imported things from China, and like it's not that it's bad to import things from China, but it's bad when you like import them and try to resell them, right? There was this whole thing where they were like trying to resell stuff from Temu. But yeah, anyway. So I don't feel bad about having the cheaper and just as good crap from Amazon. And I made way too big of a piece here. So this is two-part epoxy putty basically, and you mix them together. And it's called green stuff because it goes from being yellow and blue to being green. That's what happens when you mix yellow and blue together. Yeah, I probably shouldn't be spitting on my hands. I should probably be using the water that I just got up and got. Right? You'd think. Yeah. Alright, there we go. Mix it together. Now it's going to start hardening. It takes like an hour or two at least to harden. So we're not going to have to worry about it while we're working with it. Speaking of green stuff, this thing. I really like this thing. There's like 40 different versions of this thing nowadays though. So I've had this one for like 6 years or something. So if you don't want to support green stuff, you can find like a billion different versions of this now. Alright, so what this is it's plates that you use to roll your green stuff on. So you essentially make a channel like this. There is also allocations that they stole the designs for this too, but it's neither here nor there. And then you're going to roll your green stuff like that. Now, the trick to this is to make sure this is wet, because the green stuff won't stick when there's liquid. Alright, so I'm going to grab a little bit. And what we're going to do is we're just going to make a whole bunch of tentacle hot dogs. There's a tentacle hot dog. Alright, we're just going to roll it. Just like that. Da-da-da-da. There's a tentacle hot dog. And I'm going to take all the tentacle hot dogs and I'm going to, I don't know, do like 5 or 10 of them. Then we're going to put them out on the models. I guess really I should do 8 because that's like 2 units worth. Yeah, it's really surprising how many game companies have like big dramas, you know? Because, you know, they're essentially making toys. You think they wouldn't have so much drama, but a lot of them have like these really crazy, shady, like business things. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Now, I will say that's a big nicety for a company like Parabellum. I haven't heard shit about them. Like, as far as I'm aware, they're like completely on the up and up. Sort of like Warlord Games, I think, is kind of the same way, or Great Escape Games, the people that do Dead Man's Hand. Like, I've never heard a bad thing about them, you know what I mean, which is really nice. 'Cause it's cool you want to like support a company that you know, isn't a bunch of shitheads. You know what I mean? Alright, so this is going to be enough for 1 unit. So I think we're going to do 2 units worth, and then we'll start putting them on the base. You can see some of them are getting really big, some of them are getting really little. But it's good, because you want variation in this stuff. And it really doesn't matter how like thick they are, because we're going to kind of fill in the space around them in the next step anyway. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a bunch of these tubes. I'm going to use up all this green stuff making tubes, but we'll do it in steps, so it's a little less boring for you. But honestly, that's like the big benefit of YouTube, right? Is you have like you can kind of like pretend like you have someone to do this with, right? Even if you're streaming, right, and really nobody's talking or whatever, you just kind of pretend you got folks that are listening, because maybe they are, and you just kind of can work on it. And usually painting and stuff is like mega relaxing for me, right? So like when I'm like really in the zone painting, like I don't really care if anyone else is there, right? So like 99% of the time when I'm doing hobby, I'm completely happy to be doing it alone, right? But times like this where I'm doing like kind of like weird little repetitive kind of little tasks, right? It's really nice to have some kind of company, right? And that could even be like the situation like an audiobook, right? Like you're listening to an audiobook, just hearing a story or something, right? Or you're doing something, that makes it a little bit social. Maybe you're chatting on Discord, or maybe you have a call with your parents, something like that. It makes this kind of like mindless monotony kind of task definitely better. All right, we still have lots of great stuff to use, but let's go ahead and put some of these down. So what I'm going to do is I will hit these with glue, but right now I'm just going to wiggle woggle them up and put them on the base. Right, now my goal here is to not have them like standing up like that. My goal is to have them be flat. All right. Oh, there we go. There we go. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. As I lift it up with my finger. Good job, Josh. There we go. All right. Just like that. Oh my God, stop. Okay, there we go. Now, you know what? Screw it, we're just going to glue it as we go along. So if I had actually put a little bit of glue down there, it would have been a lot easier. There we go. All right. And he's going to go over to the side because his base is ready for the next step, which we will get to. All right, I'm just going to kind of do the same thing. Make myself a little wormy worm, and we're going to put some glue down this time to make it easier. There we go. And we're going to put our wormy worm in the glue. Bloop. Just like that. And then while it's gluing, we'll go ahead and position it. Right. There we go. Little wormy worm on a base. You guys want to get zoomed in a little more, maybe? There you go. Little wormy worm on a base. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, like Parabellum's a pretty like up and standing good company, right? Like I really haven't heard any drama about them. Because like you always hear drama about Greenstuff World, and like, for legal purposes, everything I've said is alleged. But, you always hear the drama, right? It's what people are saying, regardless of whether or not it's true. And you always hear stuff about, what is it, AK Interactive, right? They're another one you hear a lot about. And it's kind of a shame, like, you're making toys. You think that, like, everything would be chill and cool, But it's also always a human process. And whenever you have humans involved, like, there's drama. Like, that's just natural. But yeah, as far as I'm aware, Parabellum is totally chill. So pretty cool. And I will say, like, those coupons and the free shipping, like that kind of stuff really gives me like a positive vibe, right? Also, big positive vibe this year they put their Gen Con models online for sale. So there's actually a mini Raj that's like, he looks like the dad from Aladdin, and he's riding this little elephant. It's really cute. Anyway, I have one coming, because you could actually get the models online this year, which is something you normally can't get for Gen Con models. Usually you have to like be at Gen Con, and you know, I live in Hawaii, and Gen Con is like in fucking like Milwaukee or some random bullshit. So you know, I'm definitely never going to that. Plus also the fact that Gen Con on average has like 70,000 people or some crazy shit. And like I'm neurodivergent AF, right? But I'm not like a social anxiety guy. I actually really like I really like crowds and stuff. I think they're really relaxing because like there's a lot to like look at. There's a lot going on. There's a lot of noise, right? I really like parades. When I used to work at a really terrible job, and I would essentially have panic attacks very often and be overwhelmed, what I would do is, instead of like, you know, bring that crazy home, because you know, you don't want to like hassle your loved ones with it too much, you know, like they support you. My husband's amazing, right? And it's not a commentary on him, it's just me. But you know, you don't want to do it too much, right? So like what I would do is I would go and sit at the mall for a while, and actually just sit in the food court and watch all the people walk around. I would buy myself some like chicken strips, some like Popeyes, you know. I think that's probably where Popeyes is like a comfort food came from for me, because I would get like Popeyes at the mall while I would sit there and watch all the people, right? And it would really help me relax, right? And I would go from being super worked up to very, you know, not calm, but in a lot better place pretty quickly. So I actually really like crowds and stuff, but there is like a functional limit on the size of a crowd. And when you have 70,000 people in a convention center, that's just fucking too many. Like, you're not going to be able to do anything. You're not going to be able to see the vendors. You're not going to be able to attend the events. You're not going to be able to sign up for a demo unless you do it like all like way ahead of time. So like the idea of like going to the con and just getting to experience it basically doesn't exist at that point. Like it becomes a like, you know, a trip to Disneyland where you have to like pre-plan everything or you're not going to get to do anything. That being said, I've never actually been to Disneyland, but that's what everyone tells me. You know, so like when it's that big, like even though I'm a fan of crowds, it's you just can't do anything, right? It's just too much. It's just too much. Alright, 4 more little things, some more water on there. If you live in Hawaii, by the way, these pipettes are fantastic. They're, they're kind of shitty, but you get like a dozen of them for $1 at Daiso. So I have a dozen of them now. They're really nice because I was actually trying to find them at Walmart and I could not find pipettes for the life of me at Walmart. But I walked in Daiso and I was like, oh my god, they have pipettes. Yeah, really good. Let's see. We got some of the big guys to do. We'll do one of the big guys next. Maybe each one of those will get like 2 wormies. We'll do, I don't know, 2 more worms and then we'll start putting them down. So we got the unit of desolation drones. I've got the catabolic node. I've got the 3 Leo 9 Centaura and the 1 big smashy guy from the box, from the warband box. What are those called? I'll grab it. It'll be the next thing we do. Fuck, I don't remember what those are called. They're really neat. They're just like big, hulking brute monstrosities. This thing. Whatever the hell this thing is. I don't remember what this is called. But this thing is awesome. There we go. Bend it up. And we're going to plop it down. Bloop. We're going to put another one like, I don't know, like right here or something. Alright. We'll go over there. And then while these guys are drying, we will we'll do the washes on the other ones, and then we will do the final step for these, because these guys we're not going to be able to paint today, because the next step is actually going to the next step's actually going to take like an entire day to dry. And that's because we're actually going to use an acrylic medium to create that weird texture on the base. Now, the one that I use, there's a whole bunch of these you can use, but I'll show you the one I use. It's not... It's like a heavy gel. It's okay. It's not amazing. It's one of the reasons I started using it for this, because like it didn't super hold its shape very well. So I was like, oh, this actually works really good as just like weird base texture. And honestly, if you wanted to put it down and then put like a dirt texture paint over it, it would probably look awesome for like slightly more uneven ground, and just add a little bit more variation to it. It would probably be fantastic. There we go. And then, let's see, let's do another one like over here. And then we've got, what, 4 Desolation drones that need tentacles too? Okay. And then, man, I made way too much green stuff for this. There we go. Alright. We got 4 more Desolation drones, so we need 4 more tentacles. Boop, 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 boop. Alright, 1. And then what's the... yeah. Oh, that's going to be a small one. Oh well, one of them can have a small tentacle. Judge not by the size of the tentacle. Boop. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, because you only get like an inch of like official grain stuff. The fact that I wasted this much would be a travesty. But because I got legitimately like 2 feet of it or something for the same cost of that inch, it's okay. Doesn't matter. Now the really neat thing is this roller, you can actually put it like facing different ways, and it will produce different like shapes and stuff on your tentacles. All right. Oh, let's see you. There we go. And then your tentacles going right there, just like that. Bonk, 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 bonk. Right, you're gonna get the big fatty tentacles when you're gonna get. It's gonna go down and around. Yeah, like that. Oop, just like that. Just like that. And if these aren't amazingly secured, that's fine. Because the next step's going to like super secure them. Because that gel I mentioned is going to basically be painted over almost everything. Like, we're not going to paint it over the tops of the tentacle, but we're going to paint it up to the sides, so it makes the tentacle look like it like is part of the base. There we go. There we go. Mr. America. I don't know if that's how the song goes, but it's how it goes now. There we go. Maybe it's Miss America? I don't remember. It's something like that. There we go. Alright, so that's tentacles on everybody's bases. Okay. Oh, next step. I'll clean all this up after I'm done streaming. Next step. Let's go ahead and let's paint these guys up, and then we will do the gel. So their bases are going to get hit with Gravelord Gray. And we're just going to grab our handy dandy notebook and Gravelord Gray the hell out these motherfuckers. Alright, this includes painting the rim. I'm trying to do this thing where I don't paint the rims of my bases anymore. And I just try to make them the same color as the base. I used to really like the black rim on the bases, and I was like, oh, all bases have to have a black rim. But I don't know. I kind of like the more natural edge where it kind of just runs together. I think it looks neater. I think it's from the Kings of War stuff I did, where you like make the little like multi-base unit display base thing. I think that's where I really kind of like started to really like that at. Bonk. Yeah, and then some of these guys actually have like little purple touches on them from when I painted the bases the first time, so I'm actually going to have to come back and touch those up. But I'll kind of do that on a model by model basis, so I'll just throw some black on my paint palette and try to just hit them. I mentioned that because I got a little bit of gray on this guy's feet, you know. So, yeah. Just like that. Another one down. Essentially what we're doing is we're giving ourselves a little bit of time before I show you the next step. Because I'm pretty much going to show you the next step, even though I really probably shouldn't do it on all the models, but we're going to at least do it on one. It occurred to me I should probably let the green stuff dry before I do this next step, but we're still going to do it on one. Because the product I'm going to show you is actually not a hobby product. It's a like crafting product, and it's really good. Now I will say that once these are top coated, because they're going to get a top coat, what they're going to get after that is going to be a coat of gloss Mod Podge to make the bases look wet and gross and slick. So these guys are going to get a matte top coat from a spray can, and then their bases are going to get a gloss Mod Podge. Now, Mod Podge is nice. It's acrylic medium mixed with PVA glue, and essentially it works really good for making stuff look wet, because it actually adds a little bit of depth to it, because it's not like completely flat like say a gloss varnish is. So it's going to actually add a little bit of like depth to it, which is pretty darn cool. This Gravelord Gray color is super cool. It's so nice. I'm going to use this for so many things. Yeah, because I tend to use speed paints not for actual painting, but I tend to use them basically like washes. So I'll paint like a base color in, and then I'll come back with speed paint and put it over the base color for like some tonal variation and shift. and to like essentially behave like a wash, especially if I don't have a wash I want to use, right? So yeah. They work really good like that. I know people were what is it called, airbrushing speed paint for a while as like a thing. Like that was like one of those big like hobby hacks. You can airbrush your speed paint. But I don't know. I don't really like to use speed paint for its intended purpose. I really like to use it as a wash. So I think it just adds a bunch of nice variation usually to the piece. Right? Because that kind of like color modulation I think is really nice. Especially if you're not going to like break down and do volumetric painting and stuff on it. I think the color variation adds a lot. Sometimes I love doing volumetric painting, but I'm also going to be super serious. Volumetric painting is probably why I won't ever add more models to my Wadroon. Because they're like, my Wadroon are very nicely painted. They are probably the nicely painted army I have. They are also, because of that, a pain in the fucking ass to add models to. Because they have these custom bases with these 3D bits I printed out. And like legitimately doing one of the Wadroon bases is like no shit, like 10 steps. Just for the fucking base. And then the models, they have like base colors and washes, and then dry brush, and then volumetric painting, and then they have custom tattoos painted on. Like, yeah, they're very, very nicely painted. I'm very proud of them, but fuck, they suck to paint. Like, sometimes they're really fun, but like, you know, if you're just kind of looking for like a mindless chill thing, doing all those steps is not that. So it's really fun to like step back at the end and be like, God damn, they look amazing. But it's also really not fun to be like, holy shit, I have to do this for every one of my infantry. So like I still have a ton of the infantry and the slingers and stuff for my Wadroon, because I was like, okay, yeah, no, I'm good. I've got enough for First Blood. Even though I bought myself the like last Armament of Kings starter box for the Wadroon, at least the old one. I was like, no, I'm good. Got enough for First Blood. I painted my dinosaurs. I'm good. So, yeah. There we go. All right. Oh, that's those guys. Their bases are going to be ready to rock soon. And let me show you this on one of these models. Also, because I was talking about models I painted really well, I'm going to show you that I painted very poorly. Behold, cows with their silly shields. This one's got swole crab, and this one has eyeball. But yeah, I'm really happy with the cows. They're going to look really good once they're top coated. They're a little glossy right now. But, yeah, the shields are silly. Doing the, like, I don't know, the Greek style painted shields is silly. I'm not very good at it, but it's been a lot of fun. I've been doing it on all my city-states units. Alright, so what I want to show off. This is gel heavy gloss. This is quick drying acrylic medium. This should maintain a ton of its body, right? So like if you put peaks in it and stuff, you'll see how it works in a second. But if you put peaks and stuff, and it should maintain them, it doesn't really do a great job. It flops down a lot. Maybe I'm using it wrong, but because of that, it actually works really good for this use case, where we kind of want like goopy, kind of sloppy texture everywhere on the base, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come through and just do this and just put a whole bunch of it on the base, right? And it's going to fall a bunch, so I'm not going to worry about it being like too tall or whatever, right? But really just what I want to do is I just want to apply this texture. All right, so we're going to get some in there. Alright, I'm just going to try to make sure I don't get it on the guy. That's the only thing I don't want it on. Because it will dry clear, but it does add kind of weirdness. So, because it's going to kind of add like this goop kind of texture to it. So, now if you don't want to go buy this, because I got this at Ben Franklin's, you could probably get it at like, I don't know, like Joann's I think is still around, I don't know, Hobby Lobby, stuff like that. If you don't want to go there to buy those, you can get Vallejo water texture, and it is basically a gloss like this, like a medium like this, but with some color in it. But it's very similar. You will, there we go. Fuck it, let's do one more, why not? We'll do one more, and then I'll call it. Because I want the rest of their tubes and stuff to dry. But yeah, so this is all I'm doing, is essentially going in and just adding this, right? Now it's going to be chunky, it's going to be goopy, that's exactly what we want. The end result should be kind of nasty, right? So if we miss a spot, it's not the end of the world. But we do kind of want to cover everything, because it is going to add a little bit of weight and depth to the base. Right, and you especially want to get the areas like next to the tubes and stuff with lots. So I bought this stuff to try to do a fire effect for my Sisters of Battle on their bases, and it worked beautifully for one model, and then every other model I tried it for failed. And it looks like crap now on all their bases. And that's why I have the Sisters of the Holy Flavor now from Imperium Magazine. Alright. Yeah, since it's acrylic based, it'll just come right off with water. So if you get it on anything, it just pops off with water. Alright, and then that is what the end result will look like for now. Right? And then when it's all done drying, the end result is going to look like that. Dun, 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 dun. There he goes. Let me grab, this guy looks nice. Let's do him. Just like that. That'll be the end result. So, should be pretty cool. And with that, I've been streaming for an hour, so I'm going to go ahead and call it. But we put all the pieces on the bases, and next step would just be gel texture. I'm going to let the green stuff go off first. So it should be good. But I'm going to call it there. Thank you for watching. Bye. Thank you for watching. I hope you have a good one. And this is all Conquest stuff. It's super dope. I've just been on this big Conquest kick. I'm going to keep being on a big Conquest kick. I'll have my Fire Kitty on the channel soon, which will be fun. I really want to play a game on the channel, but we'll see. We'll get to it. But I'm going to call it there. You guys are watching. Have a good one, and keep on keeping on.